Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Oh, what the hell? I'm trying to use my headphones. It doesn't work.
Oh.
Fucking technology. Anyway, what's going on, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Sure, man. Sure. I talked to you like a year ago, right?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about the Fates Warning live album that came out. And, you know, it's funny enough, I remember in that interview, I asked you if you had anything that was coming up in the works, and you were kind of hinting at something, and you didn't give anything away, but I had a feeling something was coming out, but I'm guessing this is what it was, a solo album, finally, after all this time.
Yeah. I didn't want to say for sure because I didn't know exactly if it was going to happen or not, you know, so I didn't want to get it out to the public quite yet, but yeah, there you go, finally. Man.
Oh, that's so cool. And yeah, I mean, the fact that this is finally coming out, What the Water Wants, coming out October 18th through Inside Out, I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album over the course of the last few weeks, and I just love what's going on here. I love hearing this side of you. I love hearing you work with some great musicians on this album, kind of different kinds, and just like the previous Fates Warning studio album, this is some of your finest vocal work I've heard you do in such a long time, and it's great to be able to hear that.
Thank you very much, man. It means a lot. It really does. It was a lot of work.
Oh, I can totally imagine, and I can at least say from my end, being able to hear this from start to finish as many times as I have, it was worth all of the work. I mean, I just love it from start to finish, and yeah, I mean, the fact that it's happened after all this time is such a great thing. I mean, how did this all come together?
Well, I mean, honestly, it was, you know, Fates was really busy doing a lot of things. Obviously, the last two albums he did the last 5 years, and all the touring, and you know, everyone was busy. And then Jim was doing the Awaken the Guardian reunion thing. Everyone's been really busy. You know, I took a break while he was doing that. I wasn't doing anything. And then he was going to do another Ars Matthias album. And I knew there was going to be quite a break in between the next Fates Warning album. So I was like, all right, well, you know, maybe this is my time to do something. And now that I live in Europe, music is my only form of income. So basically, I was like, well, I have to do something. Yeah. So, you know, and I wanted to. I actually wanted to do something different, work with different people and see how it was. And it ended up, you know, being a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, you know. And it's odd for me to you know, when I record vocals or write my melodies for Fate, you know, I have Jim to bounce ideas off of, and so this time it was a lot more difficult because it was just me not being self-producing and producing the music, and something I'm not quite used to. So I mean, but it ended up okay. I think I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, it's so great to hear that too. And you know, sometimes it does take, you know, like the main work of like Fates Warning, you know, being put off to the side so other projects can come to finally be able to, you know, get an idea of a solo album to finally come to fruition. So, yeah, with that in mind, I mean, like, how did you go about, like, finding the right people to be able to help write and record this album?
Well, I mean, I didn't know exactly who to use at first, and here in the city of Madrid, I met this guy, Tony Hernando. He's a guitar player in this band, Lords of Black, sort of a power metal kind of band, and he's a good guy, great guitar player, sort of guitar hero kind of guy, and, you know, I started talking to him and saying, you know, I was thinking about doing a solo album, and would he be interested? And he was like, yeah, of course, man. You know, it's what do you hear? What kind of music are you listening? You know, do you want to have on the album? I'm like, oh, I don't really know. Let's start working on stuff and see what fits. And it started out from there. And I knew right away I wanted to use Craig Anderson for the drums, and he's from that hardcore band from Ignite. And he's just a longtime friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world, and he's a great drummer, super solid. Worked with him a few times before, and so Tony and I started working on music, and then it came down to, so Tony and I were working on things. We had a few songs down, and then he and his band were busy with other things, and with his singer, they were having some problems with his singer, and he was really busy, and he couldn't really focus as much as he wanted to, or as I wanted him to. And I believe I was on tour with Fates, and Mike said, you know, so you're working on a solo album, just want to let you know if you're interested, I'm happy to contribute. I said, absolutely. I'd love to hear what you have, you know. And so he started sending me songs, and I loved what he was sending me. I loved the vibe, I loved the feel. Everything about it was just great. So we just started moving on from there, and Mike ended up writing 7 of the songs, and Tony wrote 3. And that's pretty much what it is. There's still some songs that we didn't use. I just kind of wanted to use the ones that I felt fit best on this album. So there's a few songs still laying around that I think are actually pretty good, but we just didn't make it to the album at this point. So who knows? We'll see.
Oh, and I mean, that's got me really excited too. I mean, the fact that there are songs that could be used for potential things in the future, which has me excited about like what could happen for like future solo albums in the future as well. I mean, with you know, how much fun the project was being able to write for this. I mean, I'm glad to see that ideas are possibly in the future.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, who knows? I mean, hopefully Fates will be so busy that I won't need to do another solo album, or I won't have time. But I mean, it's again, yeah, we worked really hard, and for me, again, it was really difficult because I'm like, I'm so used to being produced and having other people come in, and when I'm in the studio, I have, you know, Joey or Jim or someone, you know, helping me along, like, okay, well, let's try this, you know. So this time, you know, I'm by myself. It was just me and the engineer here in Madrid in the studio, just the 2 of us every day. His name is Mike, and he's a great engineer, super helpful. And we, you know, we had a lot of fun. You know, it wasn't as difficult, but again, it's hard for me to work by myself because I'm constantly second guessing myself, and I need some reassurance from people now and then. So that was the main difficult part. But other than that, you know, it was a great deal of fun. It was.
And you know, it's so great to hear that too. And you know, people from so many different backgrounds too. I mean, be it Ignite, be it Lords of Black, be it Fates Warning. You know, it's just like being able to see this like culmination of different kinds of musicians getting together to work on music under your banner, and seeing the outcome that it did was just so great. And with that in mind, I mean, when you started like hearing the songs and you started getting these ideas, when did it start to feel like this was the direction you wanted the album to go in?
I mean, honestly, when Mike came in, you know, the songs that Tony wrote were more of a rock-oriented, sort of, I don't know what I would call it, like more of a European kind of rock sound, you know, like not power metal or anything, but just, you know, it just had a different sound that I was used to. Didn't know if that was actually the direction I wanted to keep going in, and then Mike was throwing his stuff out. And I mean, at that point, when we got about 3 or 4 songs in with Mike, then I knew that the blend of the 2 would work well together, you know, sort of like, you know, and don't take this verbatim, but I like say like the Faith No More, the Real Thing album, how the songs, some are super heavy, some are different, some, you know, they have just weird vibes, you know, they go back and forth, and it's just music. It's, you know, trying to peg them as one type band, and that's what I liked about the feel of this album. Like, the songs are different, and it's really difficult, I think, to peg it in one sort of style of music. You know, it's. They were asking me at the record company, like, what do you think this sounds like? I don't know. I really don't know what it sounds like. It's rock, I guess, but it's not really metal. It's not alternative, and it's, you know, I don't know what it is. So I think that's what I was aiming for, was just something different, just different styles of singing, different styles of songs, and just try to make it interesting for a solo album, you know.
Oh, totally, and that's the vibe that I'm totally getting from it, and I'm such a big fan of being able to listen to an album that has those kind of dynamics, and, you know, like Faith No More is a great example of a band you can't really categorize other than just being a band called Faith No More because of how many different styles that they put into it. So hearing something in that kind of vibe, you know, like progressive moments, metal moments, rock moments, alternative moments, I mean, being able to hear all of that through your filter, it's so cool to see that.
Yeah, again, yeah, it was you know, I wanted it to be interesting too, and I didn't want to be pigeonholed, and I didn't want to be in one genre, you know what I mean? Like, and especially didn't want it to sound like a Fates Warning album, or, you know, rehashed music from Fates or something. I wanted it to be different, you know, and again, kind of highlight what I can do vocally, you know. There's a lot of harmonies. There's, you know, some songs have 8 tracks of vocals, and, you know, I was just having fun with it, you know. Again, it's not something I would normally do in Fates, so that was the cool part about it.
Oh, totally. So, with that in mind, I mean, what was that like for you to, like, start writing the lyrics and knowing what the songs were going to be about for the album?
That was the thing. There was no real set tone as far as lyrics. It's just I kind of write subliminally as I go along, and whatever melody I come up with, I kind of sing just nonsense, and then I can go back later and I listen to it, and somehow it kind of makes a little bit of sense, and then I work on it from there. So I mean, you know, it was odd because for some reason all of these songs ended up having to do with some sort of water, you know, ice, rain, fucking rivers, floods, and it just happened that way. It wasn't something that I had meant for it to be, and so, you know, I just kind of thought that the title, "What the Water Wants," kind of made sense. You know, it's life can be water can be anything. It can be life giving. You know, it can bring happiness or sadness depending on the situation, I guess. So that's basically, I think, what all the lyrics are about. You know, good and bad times, so to speak.
Oh, totally. And, you know, I can also see that being related to the actual music itself, too, because on this album, the music is what it wants to be. And, you know, lyrically, just like with water, it can be whatever it wants to be. So, you know, it's cool to see that kind of thematic feel to it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's very fluid. Everything is, you know, and again, it's, you know, rain can make some people happy and it can make some people sad. Again, depending on the situation, maybe it's going to bring life, or maybe it's going to bring disaster. You never know. So it's a pretty easy subject to write about, I guess.
Oh, sure. So with that in mind, I mean, obviously with getting the album done, you know, produced, and, you know, sitting on the album waiting for it to come out, I mean, what was it like to finally be able to release a single off this album?
I mean, it was a little difficult because I didn't really know which song I wanted to use. I thought about What the Water Wanted, but, you know, I didn't want to have people expect that everything is just going to be a heavy metal album, you know, but I kind of also didn't want to go down a different route and give them, you know, some sort of Euro hard rock version or Crown of Thorns, which is, again, another weird kind of rock song. So I just figured at that point I would give them something, you know, that's a little obvious, I guess, at that point. So a little easy for everyone to digest at first. So that's why we chose What the Water Wanted. But it was actually difficult. It was a difficult decision. It really was, man. Like, I you know, didn't get any sleep over that for at least a day. But everyone seemed to like it, so hopefully that turned out well. We'll see what happens with the next one. The next video is Crown of Thorns, which again is a weird-ass song. It's not really metal, but we'll see what people say after that.
Well, that's actually got me really excited, and I'm glad to see that is becoming a single and actually getting a full-fledged video behind it.
Yeah, it's a weird song, you know, and the weird beat and the bass line that continues all the way through the song never changes. I thought it was very unique. You know, the slapping bass and shit, and I don't know if you listen to the song, but the bass line never changes. It's exactly the same throughout the entire song, which is, again, I think very unique. And I don't know, hopefully people like that one too. I hope.
Yeah, and, you know, that song in particular, you know, it's just like, it's so great to actually hear a standout bass riff in a metal, you know, like in an album like this, because, you know, it's just like, when you get so pigeonholed with, you know, progressive metal or heavy metal or something like that, you always just hear the bass. Sometimes you'll hear like a main bass riff and, you know, everything will be covered up by the rest of it, but the fact you can hear that from start to finish on that song, I mean, that's just such a cool way to go about it.
It's the meat of the song. It's the actual main riff of the song, and the vocals. I mean, when Mike gave that to me, I really like it. Really interested me right away because it just, to me, it was a sort of I don't know if anyone else will get it, but for me, it was a sort of an homage to like 70s singers. You know, like I'm a big kid from the 70s. Like, I love the old, like, Earth, Wind and Fire, and, like, you know, even like Little River Band, you know, things like that, where things are so focused on the vocals and the music was just kind of background. You know what I mean? And it was all just about the melody and the vocal, and that's what I felt this song was about, which is why it really interests me so much. And I don't know, maybe some people will get it, some won't. Nah, I did.
Oh, totally. And yeah, I mean, it totally goes on, like, the idea of, like, it's so hard to be able to really pigeonhole this album rather than just saying it is your solo album, because of moments like that where you can have, like, that kind of style of slap bass, that funk style R&B kind of feel to it, but you also got the heavier tracks on there, you got more alternative tracks on there, and, you know, it's just like, when people might be going in this album just thinking that it could just be, like, a Fates Warning B-Sides album or something like that, but I think they're going to be really be surprised when they hear how much this album has for dynamics and ebb and flow.
I hope so. I mean, again, that was the main point, and to have fun with it, you know, not to be taking everything so fucking seriously, you know. Hopefully people don't. I mean, you know, I mean, yes, Fate's Warning we're very serious about what we do, and we're very focused, and not that we weren't on this album, but my point was to not be so serious and to just kind of have fun with everything, and again, do stuff that I would normally do with Fate. So that was the main point, and again, I hope people understand that and they're not searching for, you know, another Fate's Warning Mach 2 album from me. You know, I hope they take away the fact that it's something different and they can appreciate it.
Oh, totally. And I think once the video actually comes out for Crown of Thorns, I think all of that will eventually go away, and they'll realize that there's so much more to offer on this album.
That's what I'm hoping. That's why. I mean, I don't know if the record company was exactly stoked about me choosing that as the video, but to me, it was kind of the obvious choice, is to show that, like, the album is different. You know, this is what you're in for. You're not going to be in. If I could have released Lost or you know, another heavy song, but that doesn't fully represent what the album is all about. You know, yes, there are heavy songs, but there's other stuff. So, you know, we'll see. Hopefully, again, people will understand.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you get something like Crown of Thorns. I mean, you have something like What the Water Wanted. You got an amazing ending like The Killing Floor. I mean, there's so many different things to be able to take away from this album, and you know, just like obviously, you know, the idea of like financially, you know, like getting Fate's Warning back out there for the new album and stuff like that. But you know, for the creative side, I can't wait to see already what would happen in the future for another solo album from me, just to be able to see more of those sides.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, me too. I'm curious. We'll see what happens. But again, hopefully Fates is so busy I won't have time to do it, at least for a while. So
oh, totally.
At least I'll have a voice still then, hopefully. We'll see.
Oh, yes. You know, and again, going back into the album, I really love the album cover as well. I mean, being able to have that white background and then, you know, just like that focal point of like the water and the blue colors that are going amongst that. I mean, how did you decide on using that for the album cover?
I had an idea that I wanted the solid white cover. It had nothing to do with the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or anything. I had this idea that I wanted it to look very elegant, so to speak, you know, like not a heavy metal album cover. And to be honest, some of the ideas that were thrown at me were an artist that I like his stuff, but it was like heavy metal, painted things, and you know, like demons or whatever. And I'm like, no, man, it's not what it's about, you know? And so that was the idea. And so I started looking at different options and artists and photos and waves and different things. And my wife, who is a graphic artist, was, you know, I said, this is what I want. And she's like, oh, well, like, kind of like this, you know, like, yeah, well, we move this here. And, you know, and she came up with the whole idea. And then, you know, I was like, it just dawned on me. I was like, well, you know, why don't you just do the fucking thing? You know, like, why am I doing all this? And we live together, for God's sakes, you know, let's do this. And so she created the art, and she already had the idea and everything, and so we just worked everything out together and put it all together that way. And I mean, it worked well. I mean, it's, I don't know if it tells a story, but to me it does. The water with the little spots of blood on it, again, you know, it can bring happiness or sadness depending on where you are at the moment. So I think the cover was trying sort of to represent that, but in an elegant fashion, so to speak. So I'm very happy with it. And I love the cover. I can't wait for it to get an actual disc in my hand, or the album, to see it. The album looks great, by the way.
Oh, totally. And yeah, I mean, I just keep looking at it and just like noticing all those details of how the blue is, and then, you know, just like that shot of blood, and then like the little traces that are on the outside of that spot on it. I mean, it's so cool to see that. And, you know, just being able to see that your wife is able to do that too, and you were able to like work at home with that, and hopefully she cut you a bit of a discount on being able to use that.
No, not at all. She took it all. No, it was fun, but it was well worth it. Again, to be able to work so closely with an artist, you know, not having to email and go back and forth, and I'm not sure, or have somebody's feelings hurt or something, you know, like, I know it was a couple of times, yeah, she was a little, you know, like, really? Well, just move that one spot, just 1 centimeter over, you know? It's like, you know, but, you know, again, yeah, it was great to be able to work with somebody so closely. And, I think she did a wonderful job. She really did. And it's great that everyone's actually talking about the cover. Like, they love the cover. It's fantastic. She'll be happy.
Oh,
I am.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that too. You know, it's just like, again, you know, like going from the beginning, you know, just the fact like Jim is so busy with like like the Arch Mateo stuff and Awaken the Guardian, stuff like that, keeping the current incarnation of Fate's Warning a bit on hold. And the fact that this was the right time to be able to release this album, and, just like hearing how much fun it was, hard, of course, but, just like how much fun you were to be able to show off these creative sides, both lyrically, musically, thematically, and in artwork as well, too. It's great to see this whole representation of where you are in 2019 with your music. And again, I'm very excited to see what could happen in the future with your solo work. And of course, when the day comes, to start working again on the new Fate's Warning album, that's got me excited to see when that will happen as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. It's
awesome.
Everything I'm working on right now, like today, every day, it's all I do. Freaking 9 hours a day, is right. And it's sounding amazing, I gotta tell you. It really is. It's an incredible album. It's a little stress involved. The last album did really, really well, and obviously there's some underlying stresses to be as good or better going into it. But now I have no worries. I'm super confident that this album is going to be amazing. I'm really, really happy with it. I really am.
That's got me so excited to hear that too, because easily the last Fate's Warning album has become my favorite Fate's Warning album to date. And just like seeing that fire of where the band was when that came out, and now knowing that you guys are working on that next album, I'm very excited to see where it's going to be going with everything that you've been able to do since then as well.
Yeah, we'll see. The future is wide open, like I said, but we're working as fast as we can. And of course, Jim being a perfectionist, of course, we're going back and forth over different things, and then, if a song sits too long, then he starts to work on it again, and then it's like, okay, well, let's keep going on that one, and let's move on to the. So, but it's the process, and I'm happy to be involved in it. I really am, and we're well on our way, put it that way. So we'll see what happens as far as time is concerned.
Oh, sure. And I think with that, that's an amazing note to end on. Thank you so very much for taking this time to be able to talk to me once again about everything you got going on in your world right now. And of course, your brand new album, which is coming out October 18th through Inside Out Music, What the Water Wants. I love this album from start to finish. I can't wait to hear it more. It's easily going to be one of my favorite albums at the end of the year for 2019. I love seeing this side of your musical work, and it was awesome to be able to talk about all of that, hearing about that freedom that you were able to have before getting back into work with Fate's Warning right now, and it was just awesome to be able to hear about all of it from you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
No, not a problem. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
No, just that's pretty much it. I hope everyone enjoys it and just appreciates it for what it is. Again, don't read too much into it. It's not a Fate's Warning album. It's just have fun with it.